Welcome back to the Profit Builder Unscripted. This week, we're talking about how do you get your team back on track to taking ownership, and how do you avoid that habit that we have of falling into the role of micromanager. All right, let's jump in. So my learning or remembering this week has been around this topic of how do we as leaders and managers keep ourselves from slipping back into these micromanagement habits. And, I found myself yesterday, that was actually a couple days ago, where I was like, saw these emails going back and forth with my team, and that there were some issues that were coming up. And I was feeling like I needed to insert myself in the middle of it. And I started to notice that I was wanting to start directing how people needed to take action or to address certain issues. And then I kind of, after the first email, I caught myself, thankfully, and I stopped myself and I went, okay, what's the goal? What's the goal here? And is my actually just firing off things for my team to do, really helping and supporting them in being able to understand how to manage the bigger issue here, or more importantly, stay aligned with our goals? Or do I have this picture in my head about what the goal is, and I'm just firing off information? And so this had to do with the podcast, and it had to do with really being clear about what the goal of the podcast is and why are we doing this, and having that frame start to have me rethink about what it is that we needed to do in terms of the tactical stuff. And so I sent a retraction email to my team, and particularly to Dortha, who's driving this project. And I said, hey, let's just revisit this conversation tomorrow. I think that I'm trying to solve a problem that I really don't need to be solving, and I need your input on it. And I really want to just put a pause button on it for a minute. And as we started to have the conversation just this morning about, all right, like, what is it that really is our goal? What's our intention? Like, before we ever start to try to go and solve problems, are we remembering what our intent is, what our goal is, and let us make decisions from there? And so as we started the conversation, I just, I said, let us both remember that our goal and our purpose in the podcast is that what we're doing is we're serving people. We're providing people a framework to be able to support them as business owners and leaders in the construction industry, to help them build better businesses and have better lives, and to help and support them in growing and learning and thriving in their businesses and their lives. And that what we want to do is make sure that we can reach the maximum number of people possible in order to be able to have the greatest reach possible. We're not trying to sell something. We're not trying to use it as a lead magnet. We're not trying to, we're like, that really is the intention, and to make it as easily as available to people as possible. And so with that framework around what was our goal and what's our intention, then it really started, what I just noticed is that the rest of the conversation, I just started asking her questions, and the ability for she and I to talk through different things, for me to be able to like let go and just go, okay, with that being our goal and our attention, what do you think needs to happen in this situation or that? And the tactics and the mechanics of whatever the issue was doesn't really matter. But my observation was that her ability to be able to much more easily and fluidly answer the question with a bigger context of what's our goal, what's our intention, was really very, like, I just saw and heard some things, first of all, because I shut up and I listened long enough without having to like insert my opinion, that I first asked her what she thought. I was really impressed by, like, she had some thoughts about all of this that were completely outside of my thinking about it. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. That's a completely different direction that, given your thinking, makes much more sense than whatever I was going to offer up to do. So that was the first thing, is that it offered up some, better solutions than whatever I had. And secondly, is like that by elevating the conversation for the two of us, but I think that it really became a much more creative conversation that flowed more easily with solutions that made that conversation go much more smoothly, had us be much more creative. We got through things more quickly. We weren't kind of bogged down, if you will, in the minutia, always with the background conversation. Because I don't know if this happens to you, but it happens for me. Like if I'm not really clear about why are we doing this, or what's the purpose, or is this the right thing to do, like that second guessing thing that happens so much more often when I'm not clear about what my goal or my intention is. Like I think I'm supposed to do it a right way, as opposed to what is the best thing that we can do right now based on what we know, given our goal and our intention. So the whole thing of setting goals and intention is my learning for this week, which is before ever embark on trying to solve a problem as a manager, as a business owner, as a leader. And the same thing for my team is, if we're coming from that place, I think it creates a lot more opening for creativity. And, as a contractor, you already know this, the whole thing of what are we building to, right? Like, what's the blueprint? What's the schematic? What is it going to look like when it's done? What's important to the client? What's our overarching design style, or, theme, or what's the important feel that we're going for? When you know that on a project, right, when you're really clear about those, it really helps you along the way to to solve problems, or to get back on track with what's our ideal outcome. And so I think as managers and leaders that that's really helpful for us too, to just remember when we're engaged with our team on trying to problem solve, or whether it's one-on-one or it's a group. I just really experienced such power in this today, in seeing how it made such a difference in my experience about how I was approaching this in the last couple of days versus how we approached this conversation today, and really got to a much more creative answer than anything I could have come up with on my own. So I hope that maybe this is something that will help you this week in your journey as a leader. And if you are finding this content to be helpful and valuable to you, will you please share it with somebody that you know who you think could also get value from it? And I encourage you to make sure to follow me on whatever your favorite podcast platform is, or subscribe on YouTube. And I look forward to seeing you next time.